So the topic that we would be starting with is called equity valuation and concepts. Now imagine you decide to go to a driving school and you intend to learn how to drive. Now, how to drive, there are two components to learning. The first component is knowledge. Knowledge in terms of understanding what is the gear, how many gears do we have, how to use steering, what is clutch, what is accelerated. The second component is skill. And that comes only after practicing it again and again and again and again. So teaching equity valuation in a classroom is exactly similar to teaching how to drive in a class. Which means what this reading is going to equip us with is the knowledge component of it. In terms of what are the different methodologies of performing equity valuation, whether we should be using DCF or RV, which method is more smarter. However, the skill part will come only after you have done tremendous amount of practice and iteration on this again and again and again. And that is the reason why that if there are two analysts sitting, both of them have exactly same level of knowledge. Maybe both of them are CFA chartered holders. Even then, both the people might come up with different value of stock because they are looking at those stocks differently. So let's first create a big flowchart and understand what are the different valuation methods used, and then we will start one by one. So you can make this flowchart along with me. Equity valuation. So there are roughly 4 large categories that we are looking at. The first category would be called DCF. What would be DCF? Discounted cash flow. The second category would be comparables, the method of comparables, or at times also referred to as RV, relative valuation. Method of comparables or relative valuation. The third method is asset-based valuation. And the fourth method, which is not in the syllabus but only so that you understand, is others. The reason why we need others, because the way there is constant innovation happening in science and technology, in the same fashion there is constant innovation happening also in the world of finance. And then maybe every second year, a professor will come up with a different way of looking at a company and different approach to valuation. The most notable out of this is valuing an equity stock using the option valuation methodologies. So I don't want to spend too much of time on this, but there are methodologies developed where you look at a stock like an option and then you decide how to value. For example, let us think of what's happening with the steel industry in India right now. One is there is tremendous pressure on the steel prices globally, right? The commodity prices are being hurt. Plus the India's policy towards steel right now, from the perspective of steel industry, is not very conducive to their business. So then some of the companies, a representation met the finance ministry, and they are proposing certain type of reforms or certain changes in the legal structure so that the business could be more economical to them. So if the government says yes to that proposal, then the valuation of the company would be completely different. But if the government says no, then the valuation would be completely different. That means what would be the valuation of the company comes down to a yes or no answer. It becomes a binary event, isn't it? So in these kind of scenarios, you can apply the valuation techniques which are otherwise applied on options and then come up with a value of stock. Okay, but this is out of syllabus, so we would not spend a lot of time on this. Let us start looking at DCF. Discounted cash flow method. The logic is simple. If you remember, we learned in corporate finance a little bit of valuation of bond. And we said that value of a bond is present value of future cash flow. So in the same fashion, value of a stock is present value of future cash flow. The only question is, how do you define the cash flow? And there are 3 multiple methods available. The first one is dividend discount model, where the future cash flow is defined as DDM or dividend. The second one is FCFF, free cash flow to firm. And the third one is FCFE, free cash flow to equity. Dividend discount model, FCFF and FCFE. Then in the comparables approach, there are multiple methodologies available. I'm going to list down only the popular ones. The first one is price by earnings. Extremely popular. Price by earnings. Have you heard of this ratio before? PE ratio. Then price by sales, price by cash flow. One ratio that you would remember in particular, a very popular ratio, EV by EBITDA. EV by EBITDA. But these are just some of the indicative ratios. The beauty with this section is you can innovate the ratio based on the requirement. So imagine apps like Book My Show, or do you know any other popular app, or maybe even WhatsApp to some extent, that even though the company was not profitable, now we don't know how profitable it is right now, but even though the company was not profitable when it was picked up, because there was no clear source of revenue model being decided, the valuation was done or could be done not based on maybe price earning ratio, because there is no price, not based on price to cash flow, because no large cash flow, but you can come up with valuation metric like price as a ratio to number of registered users. You can come up with different ways of valuing a stock. So you can say that we have 10,000 registered users, and other companies for every one registered user they paid a valuation of 5. So our valuation by that logic becomes 10,000 into 5, 50,000. Are you following this? So relative valuation means looking at the valuation of other companies and then deciding your own valuation. And then asset based valuation. The first one based on book values. First one is based on book values. The second one based on market values. So the sequence in which I would be handling this topic. We will start with DDM, then FCFF, then FCFE. First, we will finish all the valuation metrics, and then we will go and finish all the theory points LOS wise, one by one.